Welcome back to the deep dive. We're all about getting you those aha moments, fast and focused.
Absolutely. And today, we're diving into some source material with a really structured approach to, well, personal and spiritual growth.
Yeah, it's about intentionally cultivating positive values, not just sort of existing.
Exactly. It lays out this three-part framework: purpose, practice, and product. It's basically their definition of living an intentional life.
Okay, purpose, practice, product. But before we, unpack the framework itself, the sources stress understanding the context. There's this cultural urgency.
Yeah, it's crucial. The material points out that, look, people today, young, old, doesn't matter, they want action, not just talk.
There's a huge demand for transparency.
Huge. From the very top, like the president, down to local community figures. What you do outside the building has to match what you say inside. No wiggle room.
Yeah, that disconnect doesn't fly anymore.
And it leads to this idea of leaders needing to be an exact example, like offering a magnifying glass into their private lives.
Wow, okay. So how you treat your family, your kids, that's part of the public measure now.
According to these sources, yes. Credibility isn't built on speeches anymore. It's built on, observable private behavior. Does it line up?
Okay, so if that's the demand, show me, don't tell me, where does this framework start? What values are we talking about cultivating?
Well, the core values mentioned are things like caring for others, justice, integrity, honesty, also taking responsibility and showing restraint. Pretty foundational stuff.
Foundational, but the material says they don't just appear. Okay?
Exactly. That's a key point. Values need cultivation. You can't just, throw a rock in the ground and boom, a tree pops up next week.
Right. The peach
Yeah.
tree analogy.
Yeah, you plant the seed, and then you wait. Takes time, care, consistency, patience. You got to wait for the fruit.
Which leads to another big point in the sources, the difference between just knowing something and actually being transformed by it.
Information without transformation is, well, pretty meaningless in this view. You can know the plans for a strong house.
But knowing the plan doesn't build the foundation. You have to actually do the work day by day.
Precisely. Obeying the word daily, not just hearing it. That builds the strong foundation.
Okay, that makes sense. So that perfectly sets up phase one, the purpose of discipleship.
Right. And here's where we really define that difference between just existing and truly living.
I like the analogy they use, the NPC analogy.
Yeah, the non-playable character from video games. It's surprisingly apt, isn't it?
It really is. Existing is being that NPC, just background, default mode, repeating lines.
Just breathing, moving, going through the motions, letting the environment dictate everything.
Whereas purpose is being the player character, intentional, directed.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Living with direction, knowing your end goal. The sources root this in a sense of quoting scripture about being chosen and appointed to go and bear fruit.
So life isn't random, it's an assignment.
That's the idea. But finding and following that purpose isn't easy, is it? Because the world is just so loud.
Oh yeah, the noise section was really interesting.
It's a huge obstacle.
Yeah.
And it's not just, audible noise like phones pinging or restaurant chatter.
It's the cultural noise too, the constant stream of stuff demanding our attention.
It's like the whole modern attention economy is designed to keep you in that passive NPC mode.
The example of doom scrolling really hit home for me, looking up and realizing hours have just vanished.
Right, that constant, easy stream of information just blocks out space for reflection, for hearing, a deeper call or direction.
And the sources were pretty direct about calling out things like TV.
Yeah, calling TV one of the greatest disciplers today, shaping values passively, often without us even realizing it's happening.
Okay, so step one is seeking wisdom, seeking that direction, which the material says God gives generously, if you ask.
Right, James 1.5.
But then comes alignment. Once you hear it, you actually have to adjust your life, surrender your own plans.
Yeah, that's the rub, isn't it? It requires giving something up. We see that contrast clearly in the examples given.
Like the original disciples.
They heard the call and just left their nets, left their comfort zones, their livelihoods.
Compared to the rich young ruler.
Exactly. He heard the call, knew the purpose offered, but couldn't let go of his possessions. He valued comfort over calling.
And the message is pretty stark. You can't just pick and choose the easy parts. The word is not bendable.
It's an all-in commitment. Submitting your plans, like James 4:15 says, if the Lord wills, we will live and do this or that.
But choosing that purpose, embracing that alignment, it doesn't mean life suddenly gets easy, actually the opposite.
That's the paradox. Purpose is proven through pressure, through testing, Faith isn't forged in comfort.
That section on testing was powerful, the refiner's fire idea.
Yeah. Think about the Israelites putting blood on the doorposts.
Hmm.
They obeyed, they trusted, but
Right.
they still went to bed that night under immense pressure,
Right.
knowing what was happening outside.
Their faith was being stress tested in real time.
And that testing produces steadfastness, as James says. When you're in that intense heat, the refiner's fire, the impurities, our flaws, our weaknesses, they come to the surface.
So challenges aren't meant to break us, but to build that solid, tested foundation.
That's the perspective. They're meant to refine, not destroy.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So once you have that purpose defined, tested, hopefully becoming steadfast, how do you live it out day to day?
Ah, well, that takes us right into phase 2, the practice of discipleship.
This is the doing part, moving from hearing to acting.
Exactly. From knowing the map to actually walking the trail.
The mirror analogy comes in here, right? James 1.
If you just hear the word like looking in a mirror but don't do anything about what you see,
Mm-hmm.
you walk away and immediately forget.
You forget what needs fixing or changing.
Right. But the doer, the one who acts on what they hear and see, that person will be blessed in their doing.
So integrity here just means your actions match your beliefs, walking the talk.
Precisely. And the material is really strong on this. Faith without works is dead. James 2, right?
Actions are the proof.
They reveal what you actually believe. So things like actively serving others, fighting injustice, showing compassion, that's visible faith, practical faith, not just a theory locked in your head.
People need to see it lived out.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And critically, this practice isn't meant to be a solo journey. The sources are clear. You're not a lone wolf.
Growth happens in community.
Yes, you need that accountability. You need brothers and sisters, as the text says, walking alongside you, helping you build that foundation.
Which involves things like confessing struggles and praying for each other, James 5.1c.
And bearing one another's burdens, which
Mhm.
reflects Christ's love, Galatians 6.2.
I think the example of the church box truck was really tangible.
Yeah, literally collecting names, collecting problems, and the whole community committing to pray over them daily. It's a powerful physical symbol of shared burdens and the belief in the power of prayer.
It reinforces that idea that a righteous person's prayer is powerful and effective.
Definitely. It's communal practice making faith visible and active.
Okay, so we have purpose giving the why and the destination. We have practice giving the how, the daily actions, and community support. What's the result? What does this process actually produce?
That leads us to phase 3, the product of discipleship. The tangible outcome, the fruit that manifests from this intentional process.
And what are the main products highlighted?
Well, 2 key ones are humility or meekness and mercy.
Now, meekness often sounds like weakness, but the source material clarifies that.
It does, very specifically. The Greek word used apparently doesn't mean weak at all. It means power under control.
Like the trained wild horse analogy.
Exactly. Think of incredible strength and power, but willingly guided, harnessed. That kind of humility, that controlled strength really stands out in a world chasing status and self-promotion.
That's a powerful reframing. Humility as strength under control. And the other product was mercy.
Yes. The idea that mercy triumphs over judgment, another quote from James.
Learning to see people through, what did they call it, Jesus goggles?
Yeah. Seeing people through the lens of grace and compassion, even when maybe they don't deserve it by worldly standards. Extending mercy when judgment would be easier. That's a visible product of transformation.
And this product, this transformed life, it's not just for personal benefit, right? It has an outward focus.
Absolutely. The goal isn't just personal holiness, it's impact. Followers are called hope dealers, spreading that message, piercing darkness.
Taking it out into the world.
The definition of pure religion given is very practical. Visiting orphans and widows, caring for the vulnerable, and keeping oneself unstained from the world's negative influences.
So it's this cycle. Transformation leads to outreach, leads back to staying grounded.
Right. You take that intentional message, that transformed character, out into your daily life, your work, your family, your community, full circle impact.
I think the personal examples shared in the application section really drive this home. They make it very real.
Oh, definitely. The speaker's vulnerability there is pretty striking. Sharing things like, well, throwing chips at his wife in Walmart.
Yeah, at age 20 during a fight. Or someone jumping out of a moving car during another argument. Those are really raw images.
They are. And they powerfully illustrate life lived in that reactive default mode before the foundation was built.
And his reflection was key. If he'd had that foundation back then, if he'd asked that pivotal question, what's my purpose here? How should I respond? Things would have been different.
Exactly. And that's the connection for all of us, isn't it? That foundation helps in the small, everyday pressures.
Like yelling at traffic or getting way too upset over, chores not being done.
Mm-hmm. Those little moments are tests, too. Can you be intentional then? Can you show Christ not just on Sunday, but when work is stressful or home life is challenging? That's the practice in action.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up for the listener. Purpose, practice, product. What's the core takeaway from this deep dive?
I think the main insight is that discipleship, or this intentional growth, it's presented as a structured process. It's not magic. When you let a clear purpose shape your values, and you commit to the daily practice, it will produce visible fruit. That humility, that mercy, that light impacting others.
And the strength of your foundation comes from obedience and action, not just knowing stuff.
Exactly. Lifestyle, not just information.
Okay, before we finish, I want to share a challenge from the sources centered around the story of D.L. Moody.
Ah, yeah, the evangelist. Great story.
Apparently, before he became this influential figure, Moody felt like he was just going through the motions, like an NPC, perhaps?
Could be. Just existing.
Until he heard this one sentence from a man named Henry Barley. It completely changed him.
What was the sentence?
Barley said, "The world hasn't yet seen what God can do through a man who is totally yielded to him."
Wow. That's a heavy statement.
Right. And that was the switch for Moody. That was the pivotal question that jolted him out of default mode.
And his response was immediate.
Yeah,
But
by the grace of God, I will be that man. Just total commitment. So the final question for you, the listener, to really chew on this week is, what's your turning switch? What challenge, what truth, what question needs to hit you to make you respond like Moody, to fully commit to living that life of purpose?
And maybe a practical first step, a commitment for this week. Choose one specific value. We talked about integrity, honesty, responsibility, maybe compassion. Choose one. And just focus on actively cultivating that one value every day.
Don't just hear it, act on it.
That's the heart of it. Intentional living starting now.